listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you get on and subscribe to all of the shows on the Patriots Press Pass channel. But tonight, it's you guys here at Patriot Nation. It's your boy Pat Lane here with my guy Matt St. Jean. And Matt, Patriots on the board. They're on the board. Doesn't matter what it looked like. It looks like a win in the stat sheet. That's all that really matters.
It just feels good to win one. Especially the way last week went, the way this game unfolded, that you're in Miami, just notch that in the win column and move on to next week.
Yeah, Miami's been a house of horrors. Patriots haven't won there since 2019, the infamous Antonio Brown game, where that's like the picture, right? The picture of them on the bench with Brady, Edelman, Gordon, Antonio Brown. And you're like, oh, God, this team's going to be scary. And then Antonio Brown, I don't even know, goes insane. And then, they cut him.
I think was already insane, but went more insane.
Correct. Yes. That's correct. Yeah. So, unfortunate. But that's the last time they won, which is interesting down there. So, it's been real bad. I mean, even in 2018, they won the Super Bowl, and they lost that insane play down there at the end, the Miami Miracle.
They lost there in 2017. They lost there in 2015, the last week of the season, with Steven Jackson running back. They lost there in 2014.
Lost in the Super Bowl. In my opinion, lost them the Super Bowl in 2015. If they win that game, they get home field advantage. And I think if you're playing Denver in New England in 2015, you win that game, as opposed to playing in Denver and having to run, a silent count every single snap. Yeah.
So in the last decade plus, they've won one game there, and that was 2016. Oh, sorry. So two games there, 2016 and 2019.
Oh, 16 and 19. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and 16, that's the Michael Floyd game.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Oof. Illegal hit now, but it wasn't then, but it is now.
Very legal then. And
yes. Also, it was the first time they beat Tua, right? The Patriots were 0-7 against Tua, which is just a weird stat because you just feel like Tua's not very good. So how do they keep? I don't know how that keeps happening. How they couldn't beat Tua.
Well, and it was this weird thing where they beat the Dolphins in 2020, but it was before Tua was starting.
Right.
So it's not against him. And then 2021 in the opener, you outplay Miami, and I think it was Damian Harris fumbles away the ball in field goal range. You would have had the game-winning field goal, and you just lose it there. What are some of the other strange ones that have been in here? Week 8 in 2021 was weird. Oh, and then you beat them in 2022, but without Tua.
Right.
Oh, you've got the weird Sunday night game at home a couple years ago with Cole Strange on that last play.
Oh, right. Where he looks like he scored, but he didn't. Yeah. What a mess.
They got the first down and didn't.
Yeah.
And you've got the game last year with Jalen Polk, New Orleans Saint wide receiver Jalen Polk.
Correct.
Not able to get his full foot down in the end zone. What could have been a go-ahead touchdown late. So some very strange outcomes in there.
Yeah.
Nice to be, and this is also a strange outcome, but it's nice to be on the right side of it.
Well, that's you look at all the stuff that happened in the game, and we'll get into all of it. But just the back and forth in the fourth quarter, especially. I mean, the back and forth nature of the game and the fact that you get to the fourth quarter and you're feeling okay about how the Patriots are playing. And then all of a sudden it's they return the punt for a touchdown, which I still have no idea how they missed the block in the back on score. It's right in front of everyone's face.
That was not a block in the back.
Sure looked like it. I mean, hit him in the back. I don't know.
You are allowed to bump them in the back. You can't extend into the back. And he bumped into the back, and then Schooler dove for the tackle and just missed.
Okay. I disagree, but that's okay. But nevertheless, you get the punt return for touchdown. Then the Patriots followed up on the ensuing kick with a kick return for touchdown. from Gibson, and then you're just like, oh my God, like, we're off to the races. And then you had the false start from Morgan Moses when the Patriots are in field goal range, going for it on 4th and 2, and now it's 4th and 7, and so they say, well, forget it, we're too far away to go for it, so let's kick the field goal from 53 yards, and Borregales, who had been terrible all day, hits it. So you just okay.
Yeah. I kind of want to pick it up with that 4th down decision. This is a small thing, but I thought this was one of the more interesting kind of moments. Because let me go to what that situation actually is at the end. It's so after the false start.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. You're getting a false start in this situation.
Third time for Morgan Moses.
Did he have? I thought he had 2 and Campbell had 1.
He had 3 and Campbell had 1.
Yeah, it was rough. 12 penalties on the day, not good.
Yeah.
But it's 4th and 7 at the Miami 35. You're up by 3, a minute 47 left, and they have a timeout. I don't really like. So actually, I believe the models on this had field goal as the last outcome here. It's basically one that they wouldn't even consider. They had the decision between going for it or punting.
Really? It's interesting.
One, I think the difference there is that if you miss the field goal there, Miami gets possession in really good range, only needing a field goal. And if you make it, there's some research on this has shown that having a 6-point lead sometimes is worse than having a 3-point lead, because teams will get conservative when it's a 3-point lead and just play for a field goal. But if they need a touchdown, they'll play for the touchdown and play for the win to beat you. So that you don't actually gain as much by going from 3 to 6. But if you punt and hit them at the 10, that's a very good position to be in. He makes the field goal. Would you have kicked it there, knowing how shaky Borregales was today?
I actually said at the time it was a terrible decision. I thought it was an awful decision to kick the field goal. I understand why they did it. I get it, right? You're trying to go up by 6 points, and I don't care what the numbers say. I don't. I'm a math teacher. I don't care what the numbers say. Having a 6-point lead is better than having a 3-point lead. It's just it is what it is, right? In hockey, they're like, well, a 2-goal lead's worst lead to have in hockey. I'm sure it is. I'd still rather be up 2 goals than 1. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. And so, yes, they might be more aggressive in trying to get down the field, but you also know that you don't have to worry about the field goal. You have to worry about the touchdown. And so that opens things up a little bit more for your defense. It allows you to play a little bit, I don't want to say more conservative, because you don't, but it forces them to try to go down and score a touchdown. Whereas, and I don't, it depends on how good Miami's kicker is. Riley Patterson isn't the best kicker in the world, but still, when you get to the 40, 45 yard line, you feel like, okay, we need a few yards and now we can tie the game, as opposed to, okay, you're at the 40, we're still 45 yards away from scoring a touchdown, right? That's a huge difference. And so to me, the 6-point lead was enough to go for it. Obviously with the way he had played, I didn't love trusting the kid, but I'm happy that he did. And he hit it, and good for him. And man, I felt like going into that, I was like, this kid's he's out, he's gone. He hits his last extra point, he makes 2 field goals. You kind of feel like, all right, he's here for another week. And then if you see the same thing next week, well, now he's gone, right? But I feel like Borregales lives to fight another day because of those few decisions. And again, that last decision too, he hits the 53-yard field goal and essentially ices the game. Obviously, the defense has to ice the game, but gets you to a situation where you feel like you're up by a touchdown and the defense does the rest,
Yeah. Well, and that's mentioned it last week. If there's one plus here for Borregales so far, it's that mental toughness. Both games he's missed early, both games he's hit a big kick later on to help you, stay close, sort of to win a game or whatever. You love to see that. I would like to see him not need the mental toughness and just make the kicks.
Yeah, I like that.
But it is nice. The pressure doesn't seem to bother him. It almost just seems like he gets the yips early on.
Yeah.
So that I feel like you can work with.
I agree with you. And I kind of felt that way when they were talking about, we talked about it on here when they were asking him about, the cold weather and the bad weather and things like that. And he just kind of was like, yeah, we'll see what happens when I get there. Like, I'm confident that I can do it. And you felt like that's the right attitude for the kid to have. And so if he approaches, kicking that way and he continues to do it, like, more power to him, I guess. But man, it was a rough start. That's for sure. It was a rough start.
Yeah. By the way, I just looked back into it to make sure I have it right. So it was ESPN's model said punt, or actually they said go for it as the top option, or punt, almost identical on those two, and then field goal. And then there's the Ben Baldwin one had field goal as the top one, and then go for it, and then punt. All of these very close. All of these with a high chance the Patriots win the ball game anyway. So I think we talk about it. These things get put under a microscope, but I think what matters so much more than the decision you make is your team's ability to execute it. Like that's the important part of coaching. Like coaching is preparing your players for situations so that when they're out there, they make the right plays. So, in this situation, they decide that field goal is the one they want to do and they hit it. And that's what matters.
Well, I think that's the big part of it, right? Like, as you said. And I think, and here's the big thing for me, right? This is what I look at. That final sack, right? That final sack by Milton Williams, right? That sack by Milton Williams comes from the 28-yard line. I'm sorry, isn't it from the 28-yard line? I believe from the this thing is all messed up. I'm looking at CBS and they're a disaster.
They're at the 28.
But I believe it was the Patriots 28, right?
Yeah.
They're kicking a field goal with time in the game, right? Like that's why you kick the field goal, because if they get it, you haven't been able to stop the Dolphins all day long. Yeah. And so if they get into that range, they're kicking a field goal in time in the game. Whereas now they have to score, and you're able to end the game with a sack from Milton Williams, and that that's why you kick the field goal in the first place, right?
I will say the flip side of this also, they're also in this situation because Borregales messes up the kickoff, which is not good,
not ideal.
So in theory, if we are talking about the difference between punting and kicking the field goal, if you punt, they're starting at the 10, with the field goal. In this situation, they're starting at the 40, that 30-yard difference in field position. How much of a difference does that make when you've got Marty Mapu out there unable to make a tackle? I don't know.
Right.
But
it's tough.
I think we should talk about what I think is the number one headline from this game, though. And that is Drake May looks freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. It looks like he got the yip, hopefully got the yips out last week, and 19 for 23 passing, 2 touchdowns, another touchdown on the ground. I don't think he put the ball in harm's way once. I can only think of one or two, like if he throws, he made it all. He was amazing today.
He was phenomenal today. I think he played the best game of his career. I don't think it was particularly close. I think he played the best game of his career today. And I think not only did he play the best game of his career, but I also think that the throw to Ramondre may have been the best single play of his career. And the thing about that play is that, you get pressure, you get instant pressure on the right side from Morgan Moses right away. He steps up through it. Now he's getting hit as he steps through it. It's not like the guy's coming by. The guy swipes him and gets him. May steps up through it and throws it, and throws a perfect pass. And I mean a perfect pass to Ramondre Stevenson for a long gain. That's the play that we're looking for Drake May to make. Listen, we know Drake May can run around and create plays with his legs, and he's fast, and he's all that stuff is great. I'm excited about that, and I'm happy about that. But the number one thing I'm looking for is, can he navigate the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and make an accurate throw even when there's pressure in his face? And that's exactly what he did in that play. And it's everything that you want to see, all mixed up to one. That's what I looked at.
Yeah, and his ability to read the defense. And just going back to camp, it does feel like they've been leaning on that wheel route too. That's something they want him to have in his bag with these running backs, and having it there was awesome. I also I want to back up a little bit too on this because I love the explosive plays from Drake May, and you need that in that spot in this game on the road. But we talked about in our series over the summer is how situational football can also be how you start a game.
Mm-hmm.
First drive of this ball game, you sustain a drive, 10-play, 68-yard touchdown drive, takes 5.5 minutes off the clock.
Yep.
So first of all, they're able to run the ball. You run the ball the first 3 plays, and you're picking up a first down, which is amazing. Offensive line was in a groove today. I'm sure we're going to talk about the line here.
Yeah.
Then you get a fourth down, and it's like you get a check down to Ramondre to turn a 3rd and 13 into a 4th and short. Immediately, we're going for it. Drake May dialed in to Diggs. Like that's why you brought him in. That's what that connection is for on those gotta have it plays. And then you got into like the play action stuff. And you get the pass to Hooper and then the pass to Mac Hollins, and you're in the end zone with ease. With the running game, the passing game working together, and your quarterback elevating you when you need to. And then the next time you're out there, an 11-play, 70-yard touchdown drive. So it's the same thing again, where it's not just Drake May being able to create explosive plays. It's him being able to get those 5 to 8 yard plays consistently without missing on the throws, which he didn't have last week. And then, we got to talk about it. That dot into the end zone to Kayshon Boutte on 3rd down.
Sexy.
Great throw. Even better catch. Amazing play from Boutte on that. If not for some of the insanity that happens later on, that's probably the play of the game.
Yeah, and I can't believe that Jack Jones wasn't called for defensive pass interference all over him. We tackled the base.
You couldn't get more all over him.
Yeah, right. And so, but that's one of the things that we talked about, and I've talked about, is that in order for Drake May to be great, he has to consistently make the easy plays. Take what you're given. Just go out there, make the easy throws, pick up the easy plays, and we can move from there. If you can't do that consistently, you can't be a good quarterback in the NFL. Period. And he did that very, very well today. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to do it consistently. It doesn't mean he's turned a page and all of a sudden he's going to be a new guy. But to me, that's exactly what you were looking for. And if we can see that development from him, if Josh McDaniels can get that out of him and he can get that out of himself, you're talking about a guy that's going to finish the year maybe as a top 10 quarterback. And, that's what the Patriots need to be competitive. Sure, we want to be competitive this year, but really it's about building towards the future. And, that's what you need from Drake May, and you got it today.
Yeah. And we talked about it on the show this week about how, that Colts offense, they did what they did to Miami in large part because they were able to sustain drives. It wasn't explosive plays. It was the fact that they were just able to make a lot of small plays consistently. And they had some 4th down conversions, I believe, early in that game as well. Yeah. And it was like, all right, we watched Drake May against the Raiders. And the question was, if this is what it takes against this Miami defense, can he do it? The guy that we saw last Sunday couldn't do it. The guy we saw this Sunday did and absolutely delivered. Yeah. And even in the next drive, their 3rd drive of this game, they have really 3 possessions in the first half. And it's 10-play touchdown drive, 11-play touchdown drive, 15-play field goal drive. Yeah. And it's just, you're taking the air out of the ball. You're killing the clock on the road, taking the crowd out of the game too. And this Miami defense is just not that good in this particular way. And you're able to take advantage of it. That's the thing Vrabel's been saying all offseason. It's just when the other team plays bad football, we have to be in position to take advantage of it. Right. Miami will be paper cutted to death over there, and we brought the razor and sliced away.
Yeah, and again, that to me is what you need, right? We don't need obviously the explosive plays are good, and you want to hit some of those explosive plays, and they did that a little bit today. Mm-hmm. But it's the long, sustained drives. That's what is going to get you there. And so, it was good today. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. Remember now, Miami allowed did not stop the Colts at all last week. So it's true, right? It is true that the Dolphins defense is bad. That's just the truth, right? However, the Patriots still need to be able to take advantage of that. And so, it's one of those things that I look at it and say, all right, here we are. Can we take advantage of a bad defense? Can we take advantage of a team that isn't very good? And they were able to do that today. And however they got the win, they got the win. I mean, you got to remember now, the Giants almost beat Dallas today. Jacksonville almost beat Cincinnati today, right? Like it's some of those plays where you're like, yeah, the Saints almost, now the Niners have, Mac Jones playing, but nevertheless, like Indy beat Denver today. And Denver was supposed to be this team that's like, going to the championship or whatever. You know what I mean? So
playoffs last year.
Right. So anything can happen, especially early in the season. And so to get a win in Miami, where you have a hard time playing against Tua, who you always think again, like that's, I'll take it. And then do we want to see more? Absolutely want to see more. But that's, I'm willing to wait because I feel like I'll take one game and then let's build off of it.
Yeah. Well, and this is the other part. This is a Miami defense that's bad and like injured. I think the other area where that showed up, their defensive line isn't that good. And today they were, really banged up. Still have a couple good players. You got Bradley Chubb, you got Zach Sealer. But like those guys have not been playing the way you expect those names to play.
No.
But they punished that. Was 122 rushing yards today. Patriots were able to establish a ground game and win the line of scrimmage. I don't know what that means for this offensive line against other defensive lines, but in a game like this, you need to have that. You need to play bully ball today. And, I thought with the exception of penalties, which were an issue for like the whole line, the line was very good today.
Yeah.
The lowest pressure rate that May has had in a game yet in his career.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're able to run the ball like that. Thrilled with that performance.
Absolutely. And that's, that's the next piece of it where Jared Wilson didn't allow pressure today. Will Campbell allowed one pressure today. Like that's the next piece of this puzzle is that you have to get good play out of your offensive line. Now, again, is Miami's defense good? No, it doesn't matter if they're not good. You still have to go out there and compete. They're still NFL players. You still have to go out there and be able to block. And so I think, I think Will Campbell now, this is 2 weeks in a row that he's played very well, I think, at left tackle. And I think that he's proving that, that's where he belongs to be. He's played, I think, extremely well. I think better this week than he did last week, but played pretty well last week as well. They were definitely getting push from the offensive line and the run game, which was something they struggled with last week. So, like, all of those things are good things. And again, Jared Wilson's a guy that struggled. He struggled last week, and he played extremely well today, I thought. And that's you just looking for growth, especially with these young guys, especially for guys, like Wilson, that's a raw guy. You're looking for improvement. And that's what you got today from all those guys. And I think that, that's really what you needed. And it's like, all right, now we're moving in the right direction. What's going to happen from here? We'll see. But that's what, that's what you wanted to see.
Yep. Yeah. So excited about that. I will say, so the offensive line played very well. I did forget the Garrett Bradbury bad snap.
That was real bad. Yeah. That was real bad.
That is unfathomable how someone who has been a center in the NFL snapping footballs for as long as Garrett Bradbury is to miss a snap that badly. Like it's one thing. Like if you miss a snap, but it's like still within arm's reach for the quarterback, or like you go over his head or whatever, or it like kind of rolls to him. Like not good, but I get it. This wasn't close. It was like he was trying to snap it to a fullback. I don't really understand what happened there.
Yeah, no, that's real bad.
And it was in a bad position because this game had some real emotional ups and downs. And that play was that was a lead where you're trying to add another score, make the 2-score game midway through the fourth quarter, and that
you lose
turns
14 yards.
Yeah, it turns a 2nd and 13 into a 3rd and 26.
Yeah,
when you could have turned that into if not a first down conversion, you can get that to a 3rd and manageable.
correct.
And keep the ball and just of all the plays in this game that I think you could look at if this turns into a loss, I think that's one that would be pretty high up on my list for frustration.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I don't know if you know this, we're getting our reach is really improving. Michael Felger in the chat tonight. Felger and Maz, some of the realest guys to ever talk Patriots. There's just there's no explanation. There's no explanation other than the fact that this is Michael Felger, because I can't imagine how anyone could ever say that. And so, Michael Felger, welcome to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Hate what you've done to Boston media, but nevertheless, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Anyways, so do you want to take a quick break and then we can talk about is there anything offensively? Oh, no, before we take a break. Offensively, TreVeyon Henderson. For the love of Christ, TreVeyon Henderson. What in the world is going on with TreVeyon Henderson? I thought he was supposed to be this great pass blocker. He was horrendous in pass blocking today. Had multiple holding penalties, gave up a sack. It couldn't get on the same page with guys. He was atrocious today. Didn't run the ball very well. Did have a nice wheel route catch. Had that. But that's if you can't pass block as a running back, you're not playing. And I think that's why you saw a lot. And Ramondre was running the ball very well. But I think that's why you saw Ramondre run the ball and be out there a lot more than maybe we'd expect, because maybe Henderson just can't do it yet.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Ramondre had a good game, so I do think that's part of it. And I think they're trying to ease Henderson in. I think they want him to be a role player right now.
Yep.
To grow into more.
Right.
Yeah, multiple holding penalties as a pass blocker there is rough. And it wasn't just him. I mean, it was – I'll save the defensive side of this when we get there. But, you had an illegal shift penalty on Hunter Henry. You're a veteran. You have to know better than that.
Right.
You had, 3 false starts on Morgan Moses. You had it was 3 holding penalties on TreVeyon Henderson. Just one of them was declined.
Unbelievable.
And a false start on Will Campbell in there too.
Yep.
You just can't. It was 12 penalties on the team today. You cannot do that routinely and expect to win.
Well,
Got to be better there.
And that's really the issue, right? Is that you just can't lose yardage like that, because then you're just giving yards to the other team, and then make your life a lot more difficult, right? And I think that look, you're gonna have penalties. That's gonna happen. They mentioned it multiple times in the broadcast, but they watch the film. When the defensive line shifts like that, the Patriots have been jumping. And that happened to Morgan Moses 3 times. It happened to Campbell once. The snap count. Snap count. You should not be jumping. You know when it's going to be time. It's crazy.
Especially Will Campbell. He's a rookie. I know there's going to be jitters there.
Right.
Morgan Moses, man, you've been in the league a long time. There's no excuse for this.
So my only thought with Moses is that he was in a walking boot at the end of the day. And if he was really banged up and he was trying to get a jump on the play, I can see where he's coming from. But still, I just, that's the type of thing where it's if you're that hurt, just don't be out there. We'll put someone else out there, because that can't happen.
Yeah. And that's it. Or even if he's playing through pain and just having trouble focusing.
Right.
But it's that you can't have that next week. You really can't have a game like this with this number of penalties ever again this season. This has to be as bad as it gets. It has to be. You can't do this again.
I agree.
As for Henderson specifically, I think he had some good moments and stuff today. He is a little bit smaller, and I do wonder if that's part of it. he's good. He was great in pass pro in college, but like he is bigger compared to the guys there. It's a bigger league in the NFL. So I wonder if there's just that for him. I have to go back to and see who he was trying to block on those holdings to see if it was, just someone he got matched up with. I do think they're still figuring out their pass protection schemes. It's better, but like they're still getting on the same page. So that's probably also a factor here. And it's definitely an area where they need to get better, though.
I totally agree.
Which I do think while we're talking running backs, we should actually, like we talked about it through a number of different things here, but we should give Ramondre Stevenson himself a shout out because he
Absolutely.
This is the Ramondre Stevenson we haven't seen since week 1 last year. Hopefully this isn't something where we just get it for 1 or 2 weeks a year. Hopefully we can get this consistently, but he was so silky smooth as a runner today where, he gets that. He has that wiggle at the second level right now where he can like break tackles on linebackers and safeties and pick up an extra 5-10 yards on these runs. His vision was there today. I mean, he was able to get skinny and hit holes and finish with power. And if Gibson and Henderson can give you enough to keep Ramondre fresh and you can get this Ramondre all season, he's a very good player. We just have not seen him be consistently that guy without fumbling the football his whole career.
Yeah. And that's, he's held on to the ball well this year so far. Let's hope that continues. But he looked like the Ramondre of old. And actually, I think he looked a little bit faster than he used to. And so I think that, that's something that I was happy to see as well. So we will see 2 things, by the way. And my dad mentioned it to me, texted me, of course. And I wanted to mention it as well. I thought the decision to throw on second down at the end of the game was a good decision. I thought it was a bad result because May's throwing the incompletion there, but I thought it was a good decision to do that because the clock doesn't run out. And I also thought, as much as Mike McDaniel is, as dumb as Mike McDaniel is, him not calling a timeout before the 2-minute warning was smart. Because if you call a timeout in that situation, the clock stops after the next play, no matter what. And so the Patriots can throw the ball, they can run the ball, they can do whatever. Clock stops after that play. And then you can call your third timeout after third down if that's the case. But what you're doing is you're daring the Patriots to throw the ball if it's after the 2-minute warning, because you're saying if it's incomplete, then it's over, right? And I think that, there was a good decision by him, and it ended up paying off for him. Obviously, it didn't matter in the end, but it ended up paying off for him because they were able to get to that third down, with an incomplete pass and the clock up.
Right. I loved that the Patriots were aggressive because of how aggressive Miami's defense was being, and it was like there was going to be a clear opportunity there to get a 1-on-1 matchup down the field, and you trust in your quarterback. We're going to take our chances with a 1-on-1 matchup, and we think our quarterback can make the throw. And I have to go look at the film as to why that particular play didn't work out. I think Mac Hollins was it Hollins or was it Henry who was the target on that? Whoever it was did not
Hollins.
get.
Hollins was the target on that.
Yeah, he did not get a lot of separation.
No.
So I do wonder in that situation, what's tough there is typically what I would say is if he doesn't have separation, if no one has it, if you're mad, I'd say just take a sack.
Right.
Keep the clock running. But that pushes you out of field goal range there.
Correct.
So you almost can't do that. It's a weird spot to be in. I think it's, like I said before, with these end of game decisions, I do feel like unless you're doing something particularly egregious, the ability to execute the play is going to be more important than the actual decision itself. Like that is the more important coaching aspect of it.
I agree.
I thought they made the right decision and they just didn't execute it well enough, but you make up for it with the field goal and the defense on that last possession. So, you're never going to bat 1,000 on execution anyway. So,
that's the way it goes, right? I also, how is it possible? How is it possible that Miami, with the time running out, calls timeout, but they didn't actually call timeout? The Patriots called timeout. Like it made absolutely no sense.
It was a medical timeout against New England. Patriots player got hurt.
there was 0 seconds left in the play clock. Like, they were lining up to run the play. And all of a sudden they were like, no, it's a timeout on the Patriots. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're lined up to make it made no sense to me. So I was very confused by that. Anyways, the last thing I want to address is this. Joe Burrow's hardest QB ever, out 3 months with turf toe. First of all, I don't know if it's going to be 3 months. Second of all, is there a worse name for an injury than turf toe? Like, it's like a serious injury. And it's called turf toe.
It's like a deep bone bruise, right?
So I will read to you what it says. He has a grade 3 turf toe. Grade 3 turf toe says the soft tissues in your toe are completely torn. Your MTP joint may be dislocated. Swelling and pain in your toe are severe. It's very difficult to move your toe, let alone exercise or play sports. So he's got ripped tendons and muscles in tissue, right? Which is tendons and muscles. You get ripped tendons and muscles in his toe. So he really can't move his toe. Kind of need the toe to throw the ball. Just kind of. A little bit to throw the ball. It's kind of important. And so it's like, yeah. But you hear turf toe and you're like, turf toe? It can't be that serious.
It sounds like, what do you call it? Like, it sounds like rug burn or something.
Correct.
On your foot. And it's not at all.
Yes. TJ says that Brett Favre would have played through that. We won't talk about why Brett Favre would have played through that, but if you know who Brett Favre is, you know why he would have played through that. And I'm sorry, I don't want Joe Burrow to be addicted to pain pills. I just don't. That's just the way I feel about it. So,
yeah. I'm just going through right now, trying to figure out if there's any other offensive notes to make on this one. I mean, it's scored 33 points. Yeah. Some of that special teams, but still 26 points on offense where, what do you call it? You're missing field goals in there or missing extra points in there.
Yeah.
Great offensive day. So have to be happy with that. I love that when they got the touchdown late and they did the 2-point conversion, they were able to get that. And it was just run it up the middle and they got push and like dominated. And you had Jared Wilson and Garrett Bradbury like really getting into it after that, celebrating that they got the push they did, which I love that attitude. You got to play like that as a line.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah. So we'll see. All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll go from there. This ad, of course, for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money with daily fantasy sports. And look, it's football season. I'm terrible at football. You all know that. We won't talk about my lineup this week because I had Derrick Henry, who, I don't know, had 20 yards rushing. I don't really know what happened to that. But, of course, the Ravens still won handily. I had Kayshon Boutte for more than however many yards. It didn't matter because he only had 16. Beautiful catch, but only 16 yards receiving. Didn't really help me out. Okay. But nevertheless, what you can do, get in on the action. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. I mean, come on now. They also have the flex play, which means flex Fridays. If you opt into your flex, your play is protected. And if your lineup loses, you get that back in lineup money, which, I mean, come on. Also, my favorite feature is that you can combine sports. You can throw in a baseball guy. You can throw in a football guy. You can even throw in a women's basketball girl if you'd like to do that. Esports is always going on. You can throw in an esports person if you want. I mean, what's better than that? And you got to line up with all sorts of random things in there, which is fun. So what you're going to do, download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't have to win. You just have to play. So again, download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's good to be right. All right. Defense. Yikes. Shaky. Starting with the captain of the defense, Robert Spillane, has been he's been dreadful. He's been dreadful. He can't tackle anyone. At some point, he's going to make a tackle. It's going to happen at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it is going to happen at some point. He's going to make a tackle. We're all going to celebrate. It's going to be great. Be dancing in the streets. But at some point, like, he's got to do better than what he's been. He's been awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been an improvement on what they had last year. But like, I mean, the linebacker play was bad. I think the linebacker play was really bad last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's never good when, like, I'm looking right now, the top 6 players in tackles on this team, 5 of them are in your secondary. Right. That's never a good thing.
Not a good sign.
Christian Ellis and then 3 safeties and 2 corners. Like, that means guys are getting to the second and third level against you. Yeah. Splane's got to play better. The flip side of this is that when Marty Mapu played today, his only impact on the stat sheet was the pick. He did have a really bad missed tackle on what could have been a game-losing play, but, like, glad to see him out there because I think you're going to need a rotation of some kind.
Yeah, you got a shout out from Vrabel at the end. And it was a really bad throw. It was a really bad throw by Tua, but nevertheless, he was there. And, I just think that from a Patriots perspective, the middle of the field was wide open all day long. That's just not, you can't have that happen. Like, Miami wants to attack the middle of the field. Jason McCourty said it all game. The Patriots were trying to take the middle of the field, and the middle of the field was literally wide open all day long. The touchdown pass to Achane, there's not a soul in the middle of the field. I don't know how that happens. He's walking into the end zone. And he broke a tackle at the goal line, but, like, what are we talking about? Like, that's something that cannot happen. And from a Patriots perspective, you need better than what they got from your secondary, and hopefully they'll have that moving forward.
Well, what I think is kind of weird about this game is that you watch this game, and it really, like, it doesn't feel like the defense ever has control. Miami has, like, really high success rates all around. Is able to move the ball with 350 something yards, like, all these bad stats. But then you also look at it, and their offense only scores 20 points. Your defense has 5 sacks and a turnover without Christian Gonzalez. And this is against an offense that, like, obviously they didn't look great last week, but this Mike McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle offense, like, has been one of the better units when everyone's healthy and out there over the last couple of years in the NFL. So I have my concerns with this defense. I also want to give it a couple weeks and see how Miami matches up against other teams and how our defense matches up against other teams before I react too strongly. Because there's a chance that this is, like, maybe Miami's offense does bounce back and play well this year and they're a top half of the league unit. And we look back and it's like, oh, well, they went down to Miami without Christian Gonzalez and only allowed 20 points on defense to a unit that ended up being pretty good. Like, maybe that's how we're looking at it. It's also a chance where it's like, this is as good as it gets for Miami this year, and there's real concerns about our defense. It's just, I don't think I've ever seen a defense produce as many sacks as the Patriots have through these first 2 weeks without actually feeling like they're affecting the quarterback. And I think part of that's because Tua gets the ball out so damn fast that you can't, like, pressure him. But it does feel like they live in this weird world right now where if they get pressure, it turns into a sack. And if they don't, it turns into a big play against them, and there's nothing in the middle. And I think part of that's just the lack of playmakers on the back end right now. Jalen Hawkins had a pick get wiped out today, so he has shown a little bit there. But, like, I wouldn't call Craig Woodson a playmaker. I like Carlton Davis. He made a play last week. But, like, Christian Gonzalez is the guy you're relying on to be your playmaker in the secondary, and he's not out there. I think today showed that they desperately need him back against speedy offenses.
Yeah, and I think Woodson's fine. He's a decent player. He's a probably an average starter, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not. He's not one of those guys he's not Brian Branch. He's not going to go out there and be making plays left and right. And I think that's unfortunately what you have from him. And look, I think as a rookie, 3rd round pick or 4th round pick, right? I don't hate it necessarily. I just don't, he's not. It's not like, oh, he's our savior at safety. It's not. I think Jalen Hawkins has played pretty well. His grades last week were terrible because he got beat for 2 touchdowns. But like one of those is in a situation he should have never been in. Like he shouldn't lose points for not being able to cover the fastest guy on the field on in man-to-man coverage. It's just
Oh, and that's they're right now they're using role players at safety basically, and it's like right. What they're asking Jalen Hawkins to do is what you could ask Devin McCourty to do back in the day,
right?
But they just don't have that guy on the back end.
No, and so we'll see. But there's a long way to go. I think that the secondary has. I mean, I don't want to say they have improved, but they have a long way to go. But I do think you talk about slotting guys down. Alex Austin had a rough day today, but again, he's not a starting corner. I think he's a decent depth corner. He's not a true starting corner in the NFL. I think he's an NFL player. I just don't think he's he's a starting caliber player. And so when you start to look at it and say, okay, when Gonzo comes in, now Carlton Davis, who I thought played well again today, but Carlton Davis goes from the number 1 receiver to the number 2 receiver. And you say, okay, that bumps Alex Austin out and he becomes a depth guy. And Marcus Jones, who I think has done a pretty good job in the slot, stays in the slot. And I think that, for me, that makes your defense significantly better, right? You're taking out Alex Austin, replacing him with basically a guy that's,
could be an all-pro when he's healthy.
An all-pro, right? And that makes a huge difference to your defense, right? And so, it's not the one thing. It's not going to cure everything, but you're going to go a long way to improving this defense with just that.
Well, I think Austin might be the starter in this league. I think he's a good player. I just think what Miami's offense does and their types of receivers, this is a bad matchup for him.
Right.
And I think you saw that. And one of the other plays, it's like you just can't have it. The long third down you give up. The Patriots defense did very well on third down today.
Yeah.
Third and 13, coming out of the half, and Tua heaves one up there that's not a particularly good throw. You got 2 defenders back there, and neither one is able to track it and make a play on it. Yeah. And between Woodson and Austin, that can't be a catch. You'd love for it to be a pick, and instead, it turned into a catch for you. I think that is tough. That was one of the real turning points. That's when the game started to feel like it might get out of control for New England. And obviously the defense does enough later on to bounce back. But the secondary is a little concerning. I do think Marcus Jones, generally speaking, has played well. I think he's been a better scheme. Honestly, the fact that they bring so many blitzes, I think, makes Marcus Jones a good scheme fit because he's so darn quick.
Yeah. So
that's good. He had a nice tackle today. Here's one where someone got hit. My first thought was is that I'm forgetting the name. The guy they brought in, claimed off waivers, who's the special teams corner.
What the heck's his name?
Oh, and they have another guy in that role too.
I forget. 22, whatever his name is.
Yeah, and I was was that him out there? Because I saw a hard hit tackle. It was third down, and I was they put the special teamer out there just for better tackling and the dime defense. And then it's actually the smallest defensive back on the field who just put a lick on someone.
Yeah. Marcus brings the wood, man. He brings the wood. He doesn't always last the season, and part of the reason is because he plays like that. But he brings the wood when he plays, and and that's Woods. Thank you, DK. Yeah. Woods is the guy you were talking about. Woods. Yeah. But I think I was concerned about the lack of pass rush wins from the front four. But then again, you look at the end of the game, and you're like, well, they had 5 sacks. Now, one of those 5 sacks was, Tua running out of bounds a yard short of the first down of the line of scrimmage, and so therefore it's a sack by Robert Spillane. Not really a sack, but you get the idea, right? So even still, 4 sacks is still pretty good, right? And so, at the end of the game, you felt like you moved Tua around a little bit, and that last, interception, he's obviously he's not in a great position, and he makes, can't really make a play and throws a terrible pass to Mapu that he picks off, but. for the vast majority of the game, he's sitting there just able to make a play. And you're just like, man, like, can we get some pressure on him?
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do it for the most of the game, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I do think, Zach Kerr, calling plays on defense for the first time too. I thought you probably felt that. I thought there were some points where Mike McDaniel just kind of had his number and he knew what was coming, was able to call some good plays out of it. So that's where I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to overreact to the defensive performance today because there's indicators here of things that could be good in 2 weeks when you fix things. There's indicators of things that could be really bad in 2 weeks, and I'm just not going to react too strongly until we get some of that information. I will say, one thing I will react strongly to, Milton Williams is a dude.
He's so good.
We talked about last week how it's like I mentioned last week how there's that third down play late where it's Spillane and Carlton Davis, and they both kind of get beat on that third down throw by Geno Smith. And it's like I mentioned how it can be hard to get playmakers in free agency, even if you're getting better.
Right.
Milton Williams, playmaker.
Yeah.
And did he go through like 3 Dolphins on that sack? Like they had a lot of guys devoted to his side there, and it didn't matter. He just got to Tua and took him down.
Yeah, he's unblockable. When he's feeling it, he's unblockable. And he's been in the backfield consistently the first 2 games. He had a sack last week, I believe, and then had the huge one today to end the game. And that's why you paid all that money. That's why he did it. And he's proving that he's worth it. I think that, Landry's played really well too. He had a sack. He had another sack again today.
Yeah.
He had a hard time one-on-one today. But he did play well against the run. I think they've done a pretty nice job stopping the run for the most part in these first 2 games. And he's been a big part of that. And, and so, has it been perfect? No. But Milton Williams is nasty. And the fact that we have him doing what he's doing is a great thing. And he's worth every single penny of that $104 million. And, and I'm happy that they went above and beyond to do it. So, look, that's why you do it. That's why you go out there and spend that money on a guy like that, and you put him next to Barmore, and Barmore had a pretty good game again today. And, he didn't have a sack, but he got in the backfield a few times, had to run stuff, had some different plays where he played well. And you feel like if you put those guys next to each other consistently, you feel good about what your defensive line could do. I thought that, the 2 edge guys, first of all, you got to be able to line up. For the love of God, Jason. Yeah. Like, you got to be able to line up and not line up off sides. That can't be real life, man. Like, what are we doing?
And one of his offside took away a pick on the first possession. Like, you can't have it. And that's tough right now. Like that second edge spot, I think, is a real weakness right now.
Yes.
Jason's fine as an extra rusher in blitzes. He actually had a good moment against run defense today, but he's, I think, just a guy out there. Keon White is just a guy out there right now. Anthony Jennings, like, we know what he is, and he's just not, like, he's not going to be your pass rusher.
Right.
I think Elijah Ponder, did he also have a penalty today?
But they said Ponder lined up offsides. I thought it was Chasen, but they said he lined up offsides. I don't think he was in there in a pass rushing situation.
Yeah, but Elijah Ponder is not great either. Like, I don't expect him to be your solution at edge rusher. And the guy you drafted hoping he could be is Braden Swinson, who's not playing. He's in your practice squad right now. So, they clearly don't think that much of him, that highly of him right now. So, that is a real need for this team. And hopefully you can mask that with your blitz packages. But I think, the long term, if you want to mask it, you have to be better in coverage on the back end, and they're just not there yet.
Right.
And that's like they never, not never, but a lot of Bills' tenure, they didn't have elite edge rushers. They had good edge rushers and really good play calling, really good packages, great coverage on the back end. And it's like, all right, well, it makes your edge rusher's life a lot easier when you're going to have the full 3 seconds every time to try to get to the quarterback. He's not getting the ball out in the second and a half.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I agree with you. Like, you need them both to play off each other. And, if you can get that edge rush, if you can get that rush with 4, it helps your secondary. And if the secondary can cover well, that's the Robert Spillane sack, which it wasn't really a sack, but the Robert Spillane sack was a coverage sack. It's just he didn't know where to throw it, and so he ran out, and that's where it was, So,
the end of this game really was like a masterclass in like bad football at some spots, from like the consecutive special teams touchdowns, allowed penalties, kickoff short of the landing zone, Achane scoring, breaking tackles, but stepping out of bounds. It's 3rd and 13 with the game on the line, and you are just running out of bounds for no gain. Like, give someone a chance to make a play.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was just like, this is an entertaining game. And Drake May was very good and was the best quarterback on the field, and there's a lot of optimism there. At the same time, it was not a good game. This is not a high-quality football game.
Correct. By the way, speaking of high-quality football games, this Atlanta-Minnesota game is brutal. But John Parker Romo, 5 for 5 with a long of 54 yards. He's got all 15 of Atlanta's points tonight. And they're driving again, and they may end up settling for a field goal again. He might end up 6 for 6 with all 18 points.
I'm just terrified that they're going to let go of Borregales at some point, and it's going to be like Chad Ryland. He's going to go elsewhere and figure it out. So,
yeah, it's
obviously hasn't been good with Borregales, but the fact that he kicked like a 53-yarder for you in a clutch moment, like, I don't think you can dump him after that. I think you have to keep giving him opportunities.
I think you're right. And I think you're right about the fact that what I like about him, his best quality, is the fact that he doesn't get impacted by the moment. He may screw up at the beginning, but then, when the game's on the line, he comes through for you. He did the same thing last week. Wasn't good. Made a few kicks late. And that's just, you hope that you can coach that stuff out of him.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's the case. But it's just, you have to, I feel like if you chose him, and look, I felt like him and Parker Romo were pretty even all camp. I think maybe I would have given a slight edge to Parker Romo.
Yeah.
But if you decided to keep him, you can't then move on from him after this year. You have to commit to this kid. They didn't do it with Ryland. You see how well Ryland's kicking in Arizona now. So it's like, just stick with him for another year. If you get 2 years, if you get through 2 years and he sucks, okay, now you can move on. You know what I mean? But you should at least be able to get, to live with him for a year and then see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I won't lock myself in that far, because if he just comes out one of these games and misses 3 field goals, like,
that's a fair point.
There's a point where you just can't. I will say, the Patriots put out their inside the locker room video after the game. Here are the game balls that Mike Vrabel gave out. Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, Marty Mapu,
okay,
Milton Williams,
of course,
Zach Core,
and
Andy Borregales.
Okay, there you go.
So when I
think Drake didn't get him, but that's okay.
What I think first of all, I'm going to guess that's a thing from Vrabel. Is like, it's not that we're not going to reward Drake, but
yeah,
you're looking for role players. You're setting culture right now,
and we're expecting you to do. This is what we're expecting you to do every week.
Yeah, when I do think it's notable that like some of these are like Marty Mapu has some real negative plays in this game, but he gets a pick, and I think this is Vrabel trying to reward the playmaking there.
Yeah,
Zach Core, who up and down game as a playmaker, but it's him stepping up into an opportunity and fulfilling a role that they need.
Yep.
And because I'm guessing these game balls aren't they're about the performance in the game, but also about what happens during the week too. They're asking these guys to step up and then them stepping up. Borregales, making that kick at the end. I think it's pretty clear that like they're focused on the game level here, and focused on when we ask you to do something in a high leverage situation, we need you to be able to make the play. Borregales did. Mapu does make a play on 4th down. Milton Williams does on 4th down. Heck, Kerr he's calling the defense at the end there. He gets the credit for that too. With some good plays there. So, interesting. And I know Drake May kept the ball at the end and gave it to Stretch so that Vrabel could have a game ball for his first win in New England.
That's good. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. You got any other notes for the game? I feel like I'm pretty well spent on it. I feel like, it was a good win, ugly win, but you got to do what you got to do to get the win, and they were able to do that, luckily. And so, we'll see how it goes the rest of the way, but hopefully they can keep this going.
Yeah. Well, and I think what this game means will be very much determined by what happens the rest of the way. If this team turns into, a good team, dare I say a playoff team, this is a win you look at and you say they didn't play great, but in a tough environment, they found a way to get a win and they gritted one out.
Right.
If the team ends up not being very good, we probably look back at this in 2 months and say, yeah, they lucked their way into a win that day and didn't do it a whole lot else the rest of the way.
Right.
And that's the nature of this sport. It's results driven, and the way you look at things is going to be in the context of what happened in the other games. So
yeah,
I in the moment very happy with the win, and also lots to work on because Pittsburgh is a real team coming to play next week. Although I question how real they are. Did you see the touchdown that Seattle scored today?
No. Which one?
The kickoff one?
Oh, God. That's one of the – you got to know the rules, man. How are you not supposed to know the rules?
That was – well, and, the fact that the Patriots have all these missed field goals and extra points. They scored and allowed special teams touchdowns today, and Pittsburgh did that. We are going to see something on the field in Foxborough next week on special teams that has never happened before.
Probably.
It's just going to be weird. But yeah, that's real team next week, real quarterback, real coach.
And I don't believe that he touched the ball, but he's got to go back there and get it. Just kick it out of the end zone. So what?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you touch the ball.
Right.
Yeah, it's live. Once it's in that landing zone, the ball's live.
Well, but the reason why I said that is because I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like if you touch the ball and it goes into the end zone, does it end up being a safety? No, right?
No, it would be a touchback.
It'd be a touchback. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a touchback. And in that situation, it's at the 20.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
But it's on and this happened on a Jets Bills game a couple years ago. It might have been pre-COVID, or it might have been, I don't remember exactly when it was, but kickoffs, the reason an onside kick is what it is that on a kickoff, the ball is just immediate. Once it's into whatever the appropriate territory is, the ball's live. Whoever picks it up has it. So the fact that it's just sitting in the end zone, well,
it's not a punt. Ball goes in the end zone. That doesn't mean it's a touchback.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So heads up play from Seattle. Hilarious play from Pittsburgh.
I also don't even know if the guy even possessed the ball. They called it a touchdown, but did the guy actually possess the ball?
I think because he jumped on it. So I think just by the rule of physics.
Yeah, I guess maybe
he had to have first started fully in the field of play there. As long as he isn't losing the ball as part of it, he has the ball in the field of play. Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, well, bro, why are you running in so hot? You should just slow down and pick up the ball.
Yeah,
don't jump on it. But
yeah. I don't know. Right. We'll see. All right, that does it. Thanks for tuning in, people. We appreciate it. Patriots are 1-1, second place in the AFC East. I'll take it. Wasn't pretty. I'll take it. Get the win. Be happy with it. We'll see what happens next week against Aaron and the Steelers.
One final note here, because the Dolphins play the Bills this week
in
Orchard Park on Thursday Night Football. And then they play the Jets after that.
Golly.
If they lose both of those games, is Mike McDaniel done then?
I think so. I can't imagine if you go 0-3 against the division, you start the season 0-4, forget it. It's over. You have to fire him at that point. And I guess it depends on how it looks, but if they go into Buffalo and get absolutely blown out, which is almost certainly what's going to happen on Thursday night, and then you play the Jets and you lose to the Jets, say Who knows? But say you go into New York going down to Miami. Is that a home game for the Dolphins?
That's in Miami. That's their rivalries game.
Yeah, so you have to win that game. The Jets are not very good. They had like 17 yards of passing offense today. Like, you cannot lose that game. And so if you lose these two games, yeah, I think you have to let McDaniel go and just move on, because it's pretty obvious that he's just not the guy anymore.
Well, I think he can be a good coach in this league. I think he probably needs to go be an offensive coordinator somewhere and learn some lessons from this. And
yeah,
I don't think he has been done any favors by the GM in Miami.
No.
And I feel like they had an issue there of just like, first of all, quarterback is not that good and gets hurt a lot. I think that hurt McDaniel a lot during the peak years here. And then you add in like Mike McDaniel took an offensive line that was like really, really bad and made them play okay. And because he made them play okay, they never drafted offensive linemen.
Right.
So then it just sucked. And anytime they play a good team, the line is just awful.
Yeah.
And it was just like, was it the Peter principle? Like he made them good enough that expectations got too high that now he's going to get fired. I feel like it's kind of what happened here.
Yeah. When you draft, Savanaia in the second round, but it's too late. You've passed that point already.
They drafted Kenneth Grant too, a defensive tackle. But yeah, just too little, too late. And I also think like Tyreek wants out, and like Mike McDaniel has not done a good job managing the vibes in that room lately. Yeah, which I can't tell if that's a him thing or if that's like we do look at some of those Pittsburgh teams, and it's like, oh my God, how did Mike Tomlin keep this together? And maybe we'll look back on this, and it's like it was just a miracle that McDaniel kept this thing together at all. But it is not together anymore.
It sure isn't.
Did you see on there was an opportunity to ahead for a big play to Tyreek, and he missed the throw.
He came off the field screaming,
and he came off the field in a big situation. It's just like I'm like that should. Yeah, but that says a lot right there.
It's not good. Not good. No. Not what you're looking for.
Well, I think Tua was kind of throwing Tyreek under the bus in the press conference after the game too.
It's a mess.
It's
a mess.
Which, like, Tua, I don't care. You are not good. I don't care what Tyreek did there. You should not be leaving the field there, but you are not good enough right now to be throwing anyone under the bus.
I agree. I completely agree there. So we'll see. Anyways, that's what we got. We'll be back probably Thursday night during that Miami game, talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town on Sunday. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Be good to